Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to be doing the weekly tarot reading for the sign of Aries for July 1st through the 8th. Alright, we're going to get right into it. Get out your Romance Angel Oracle cards. And if you don't know my usual drill for these weekly readings, this is going to basically be a look at whatever relationship or dynamic that is taking center stage in your life this week. So that relationship could be with a family member, a friend, at work, a lover. So whatever is kind of the main event in your life this week, that's what we're going to be looking at. All right, folks, so we get two cards out, you and the other person's card. And of course, the energies can be vice versa, that you can relate to both cards, right? So let's see what it's all hitting for our lovely Aries for this week. All right. Aries, your first card out is give your relationship a chance. Interesting. And pay attention to red flags. Wow. All right. So give your relationship a chance and pay attention to red flags. So that could mean a lot of things. That could mean, right? Yeah, you can still give your relationship a chance and pay attention to red flags at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive, right? It all really depends on what's going on. We're not going to know really too much, though, until we get into your spread. So here we go. We're going to pull out your 7 cards. Right, your main card for your relationship, and then 3 for you and 3 for the other person. And take a deeper look at this, all right? Show us what's going on for Aries for this week, July 1st to the 8th. Give us a clear picture. Clear messages, affirmations, reaffirmations, warning signs. Show me. Wow. A lot of cards came out. I'm not going to take those. Show me what's up with Aries. Show me. Could be a lot of energies going on. We'll see. This week, July 1st to the 8th. For our lovely fire sign of Aries. All right. Here we go, Aries. Let's get right into it. Your first card out is 4 of Wands. So that's beautiful, right? Beautiful kind of soulmate energy. Beautiful, stable relationship energy, right? So certainly give your relationship a chance if that's the case. You've got 4 of Swords for yourself. 5 of Cups for your person. And King of Swords for your relationship. Interesting, yeah. Page of Wands for your person. For their card. And their card for you is 9 of Wands. Their card for the relationship is Temperance. Sagittarius showing up. Alright. Here we go. At the bottom of the deck we have the World card. So the World card, yeah, you're very much kind of going through a period that feels very fated, very destined, right? You're kind of taking a look at how everything's fitting into your life right now. You're kind of taking restock, right? Interesting. 4 of Swords underneath, so that's certainly strategizing energy, pulling back, retreating to your corner. But the World is very much about taking stock of your life path and where you are in it. You know, how close are you on your life path? Sometimes it can indicate that you're exactly where you want to be. And sometimes it can indicate that you're in a place where you really are trying to reevaluate everything that you've been doing because perhaps you're not where you want to be, right, Aries? But of course, 4 of Wands. So something is going on with the relationship that you certainly seek stability in this relationship. 4 is the number 4 stability, right? In all things stable, seeking stability. Could be that although you seek stability in a particular relationship, there are red flags with this relationship. So it may or may not be possible, right? But this is certainly the objective that you're having in your mind this week. You know, a coming together with someone equally, right? With mutual shared respect, right? And understanding. However, let's get right into the cards. Eight of Swords is your card for you, Aries. And Eight of Swords is very much, it's my victim card, right? So it can feel like you've been attacked. It can feel like, you know, you've been kind of, people have been coming at you from all sides, right? But Eight of Swords is interesting because eight is about is the number to do with boundaries, signifies boundaries, setting boundaries, understanding your weaknesses and strengths. You know, it's through our kind of testing our limits that we find out how strong we are, right? And it's through that that we also decide what kind of boundaries we want to put in place as far as relationships and things like that are concerned, right? So, but Eight of Swords is oftentimes when you feel yourself being kind of constricted, you're being kind of, you know, you see the character is tied and bound and blindfolded, so there's a lot of sense of restriction. But Eight of Swords is very much like, I call it my victim card because oftentimes this character is restricted and blindfolded as a result of their own actions. You know, it's their actions, it's their kind of modus operandi or their kind of like set of behaviors that's kind of alienated them and put them in this restrictive place. So it could be very much that right now you're just feeling kind of like not only a victim of circumstance, but maybe you're feeling a little bit like you've been put in this position, you've been kind of forced in this position. Oftentimes this card is very much that kind of like, you know, I wouldn't be acting this way if you didn't act that way. You know, it's like, you know, it seems almost as if somebody's really pushed your buttons and they've got you kind of like feeling like in your feelings, you know, you're in your feelings, you're kind of reacting, you're being very reactive, you know, and I don't think you feel good about being in that space, Aries, because you're generally a very independent individual. You very much have control over your kind of own emotions, right? But again, here it's kind of like you're feeling like your hands are tied. It's almost as if you're feeling like you've been forced into a certain position, right? Forced to take up a certain position. And it's not the position that you wanted to take, right? It could be that somebody's been behaving a certain way with you and your red flags, you know, it could be that you've been sensing red flags. Maybe somebody's been acting in such a way and it's like, you know, the way they've been acting is giving you pause for thought, right? And so now you feel almost like you can't ignore their behavior. You can't ignore what they're doing, you know, to your own detriment. And you almost feel like, man, if this person just hadn't acted like so much of an ass or so much of a jerk, you know, maybe we could still be together. But we can't because they have. And it's almost like they forced you in a position that you just don't want to be in, right? And you feel, and you don't like it. You feel almost like disappointed about it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you feel very disappointed. You know, it's like you almost wish this, you know, whoever it is you're dealing with here, you almost wish they would just step to the plate and be responsible the way they should and act the way they should, because you really don't want to have, you don't want to have this separation from them, right? You don't want to be forced to kind of treat them with a hard hand or with a, you know, you hate being forced to be stern with them or to put up walls or boundaries with them, but you feel like you're forced to do that anyway as a result of the way they've been behaving, right? And so your Five of Cups is representative for your other person as well, and they've caused you just see them, you just associate pain with this person, right? You are associating right now a lot of pain with them, a lot of misery, right? You know, I think it's very much like you may feel like they're unhappy and you're unhappy, right? But it's more so that I think that you just associate not good times with this individual, right? When, you know, you just when you associate feeling down when they're around, but yet you're drawn to them. You know, it could be that their behavior has just been disappointing to you, but ultimately you really love them and care for them, and so you're kind of mourning the loss of the relationship, right? Or of the possibility of a good relationship. It's almost as if, like, you know, when you meet somebody, it's like everything about them is wonderful, but there's this one thing about them that you just can't get past, you know, and it just feels so kind of like sad in a way, because it's like you see the potential for a great relationship there if it weren't for this one kind of behavior pattern or behavior trait or aspect of their character or personality that you just can't get past, right? And so you feel quite sad for the fact that this just to you feels like it's just not going to work out. Okay. Now this is of course where you're feeling, but it's very interesting that you also have give your relationship a chance, because also associated with the actual relationship and how you see yourself in the relationship, you have King of Swords. And so this is kind of like your little glimmer of hope here, because it's almost as if you're beginning to understand that if you would have a conversation with this person, you may be able to turn this around. Remember, Five of Cups still has two other cups here. That's always kind of a sign to let you know that all is not lost when you get here. Though it may feel like it may feel quite sad and unforgivable or lost, like the relationship is just not recoverable. Inherent in the Five of Cups is always a possibility for a renewed relationship or a new relationship. But I think in this case, it's a possibility for renewing this relationship and getting right back on track with this Four of Wands, even though it seems as though that is so far out of your reach right now. And I think that that is very much dependent on how much are you willing to talk and remain at the table to discuss these issues with this person. Because it's all about communication. And certainly as King of Swords coming up, it's going to be about you initiating that conversation. Your person sees themselves as the Page of Wands. So they're feeling very free. They're feeling very confident. They're not necessarily seeing the behavior that they don't really see what it is about their behavior that's upsetting you so much. They may not realize it that they're even upsetting you. It could be that you've been hiding these feelings from them. You haven't really let them know, because Aries, of course, once you really get in your feelings and you truly show disappointment and anger, it can be quite overwhelming. And I think you don't even like to see it for yourself. So you stay away from that side of yourself as much as you can, because you know once your anger kicks in, it's quite unstoppable for a while, right? So it could be very much that this person doesn't even realize how much they're upsetting you or how much they're triggering you, how much they're almost pushing you away as well with the way they're acting. Because their Page of Wands is a very free kind of like, you know, kiss my ass, I'm going to do whatever I want attitude. And it doesn't necessarily come out of any place of wanting to hurt you, but it's more or less that this person is just also, like yourself, very fiery, very passionate, very independent, you know. They have a lot of creativity with them. They're embodying the Page of Wands. So Page of Wands is a lot of creativity, but it's also like that rung on the Wands kind of court ladder where the person is just beginning to see exactly how creative they are. They're just have a renewed sense of self-confidence. So you're dealing with somebody who's really like bubbly and buoyed up and like going ahead full steam, right? But in that way that they may not be realizing how much they're affecting people around them. They may not realize that they are affecting you with some of their behavior. It could be that they're, you know, they may be flirting, or they may be acting in some way with others that's hurting you or upsetting you, or they may just be like doing things in a way that's disrespectful to you, but they just don't see that, right? They don't mean to be disrespectful, but you take it that way, right? And of course, Aries, oftentimes you know, Aries, you can be guilty of assuming that people know what you're thinking, but oftentimes they don't, you know, and you don't feel like, a lot of times you don't feel like you should have to tell them. But in this scenario, if you really care about this individual, if you want to give your relationship a chance, then you're going to certainly have to take the step to have this conversation with them, because they're almost like childlike in their behavior, in that they really don't see what they're doing. They see you as a Nine of Wands, so they see you as somebody who's really been struggling for quite some time. They see you as a very strong person, a fighter, right? Nine of Wands is that individual who's been through a lot of trials and tribulations, but they've always stood on their feet. They've always made it through. Right now, this character is taking some time off to muster this last little bit of strength to get through this period. And so your person certainly sees you, Aries, as a very determined individual, right? They see that you're willing to go the distance, right? And they have respect for you. But I don't know if they necessarily see that you can be hurt, because this individual here is a very strong individual. Though he's bandaged, he's very strong. He's been through a lot, right? And so that gives the impression of being very stoic, being extremely, you know, independent, confident, strong. And almost you don't imagine this character, you know, being capable of exhibiting this kind of like hurt, right? And so I don't, again, it takes me back to this idea that your person doesn't really see, how they're affecting you. I think they have an image of you that doesn't really include any kind of like, they see you as such a strong kind of go-getter person. So they don't even see necessarily that they have the power to affect you so deeply. And so once again, you need to have a conversation with them. I think this is very much a case again of you loving someone very much and them having absolutely no idea of how much it is you really care for them because you haven't said it. You haven't told them. You've simply been reacting to them a lot, and maybe also, like I said, imagining that they should know how you feel. But this person, I'm not saying that they're dim, but they're just not aware of these feelings, because this is the type of person you need to stop them in their whirlwind of activity, stop them and look them in the eye and tell them how you feel for them to understand. And then I believe they'll respond because they see the relationship as temperance. So this is Sagittarius showing up. This could indeed be a Sagittarian individual, somebody who embodies that kind of energy. But Sagittarius is very tempered, They understand feelings, the nature of feelings. They understand the nature of compromise. Temperance is having dominion over yourself. So I think that if this person understood in which way they were hurting you or disappointing you or causing you to have pause, they would very much be open to employing temperance and changing their behavior, adjusting their behavior, being more mindful. But you have to tell them. This is very much a case of you having to tell them. They just don't get it otherwise, And interestingly enough, should you open your with you being more open with your communication and with their ability to then respond in kind and actually consciously work towards a better kind of interaction with you, you both actually are looking at a relationship in the same kind of very healthy way, and it has a lot of potential for being a long, enduring, happy relationship, right? But it's quite interesting because right now you guys may not even be speaking, you may not even be working towards this kind of relationship, and it all very much entails this kind of, as I said, this you stepping forward to talk to them, and that's you giving your relationship a chance. Right? So this is very much down to you and how you feel about them. Are you willing to accept that these red flags may be a case of misunderstanding or miscommunication? And if so, are you willing to go towards this person and talk with them, understanding that you both have the potential for being actual soulmates and having such a beautiful outcome? So I'm curious. Sound off below if this relates to you, Aries, all right? I'm going to call it. This is your July 1st to July 8th reading for Aries. All right? I'm very curious if you're in this position and what you've decided to do, because, yeah, Four of Wands is not to give up lightly, Four of Wands doesn't come up for all relationships. And although right now this is not necessarily where you want it to be, like I said, the potential is there. All right, so if you want to schedule a private reading, just follow the link at the bottom of your screen. But for right now, I'm going to tell you I love you, Aries. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.